everybody, this is Leia, and in this video I will be showing you my 5 current favorite tarot decks. By favorite, I don't mean I like these cards more than others. In fact, I have a bunch that I absolutely love which I haven't even shown you in our videos and in the card of the day section on my Facebook page. What I mean is, these are the cards that I use the most at this time. These are the decks I resonate with at the moment, those that call out to me. I will very likely be updating this video several times as the cards I use frequently change, depending on what's going on in my life and the kind of energies that I'm working with at any given moment. In case anybody is looking for a new deck or their first deck, take the ones in this video as possible options or suggestions. That said, here are my 5 tarot decks of the moment in no particular order. So here we have Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine's Angel Tarot. I did a review on this along with the Archangel Power Tarot cards by the same authors, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to see the cards in greater detail. So the reason I like this deck is it's gentle and encouraging, yet it doesn't sacrifice the structure of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot system, giving you something to easily work with if you're already familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith. The energy of this deck is very positive, so I'd say it's great for giving readings to clients who are new to and uncertain about tarot because they're scared of what they might see on the cards or of what you might tell them. There are no frightening or naked images here, so it's an overall good choice of deck to give readings with in general. And if you're wondering why I chose these over the Archangel Power Tarot cards, which are also positive and encouraging, not to mention spot on in readings, it's really a matter of the artwork and color scheme. The Archangel Power Tarot is very heavily photo manipulated, and I find the placement of the faces on some of the heads a little awkward. Besides which, I love, love, love the blue and cool tones of the Angel Tarot, while the warmer color scheme of the Archangel Power Tarot doesn't call out to me. So just to give you an idea of what the Archangel Power Tarot is, this is the box. And I'll just give you a really quick glimpse of some of the cards of each of these decks. Just so you have an idea, in case you've never seen any of the images before and are only coming across these cards for the very first time. The second tarot deck I'd like to talk about is Crystal Visions Tarot by Jennifer Galasso. I have to admit, I was hesitant to even get these cards. I prefer decks that have a deviation from the Rider-Waite-Smith system, while more or less still following its framework, so I know the structure I'm working with. Because otherwise, without that structure, you pretty much have a set of oracle rather than tarot cards. Crystal Visions Tarot is very much a Rider-Waite-Smith type of deck, but with different artwork. And yet, the moment I started working with the cards, which I was persuaded to get in the first place because the colors called out to me, I discovered they have a very special energy that I really like. There's this magical energy that emanates from them, and I very much feel that they're talking to me. And from that moment on, this deck has found a very special place in my collection. This is definitely an example of a tarot deck that chose me. For one, I'm not a fan of the style of artwork. I think it's pretty, but it's personally not my preference of art. Yet, they have really beautiful energy that I respond to very well, and they help me give readings that I'm very satisfied with. So, for that, it is one of my current favorites. And if you look at these pictures right here, I can tell you that they photograph very well. They look really good on camera. The colors are so vibrant that they just stand out. I will likely do a review on this deck alone, too, sometime in the future. Tarot card deck number 3 is a set of cards I've been using since the very early days of my card reading journey. This is the Osho Zen Tarot, and I've done a review of it too, so click on the link in the description if you want more information on this deck. Basically, one of the reasons I like it so much is it is not a Rider-Waite-Smith knockoff, despite still working within that system. So that makes it different. This deck has labels that help you remember what each card symbolizes, and you'll see that in the review if you take a look at it. Even the minor arcana and the court cards have these labels underneath, so you as the reader can more easily work with your intuition rather than feeling like you have to memorize a bunch of meanings before you can work with the cards. I used these successfully even as a beginner, and my relationship with the deck has only gotten richer and stronger over time, so I think it's a great choice to do readings with, regardless of your skill level or prior knowledge of traditional tarot. Not to mention, I think the artwork communicates so much. If you don't exactly like angels or an overabundance of positive energy, as with the Angel Tarot, which was the first deck I showed you, try the Osho Zen Tarot. Both these decks are good even for beginners, but like I said, if you're not much of an angel person, maybe you'll enjoy working with this one. And another thing that this has in common with one of the previous decks I showed you is both the Osho Zen Tarot and Crystal Visions Tarot have an extra card. So they don't just have 78 cards like a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. There's an extra card in each of these decks. So let's take a look at some of the images. As you can see from what I said earlier, there are labels underneath. It doesn't matter if it's a major arcana card, if it's a minor arcana card, or a court card, there is a label there, so you don't have to guess. You know how sometimes the court cards can be challenging to work with, especially if you're new to tarot? Well, it won't really be the case with this one. Next up, we have the Ludi Lescott Tarot, which is one of several dark decks I own. I must say, I have been very pleasantly surprised with the results I've had reading with these cards. Sometimes, dark decks are more of a novelty, but they don't go very deep in helping us do shadow work, which is something I think the awesome dark decks are good at. In the case of the Ludi Lescott Tarot, I've had a great deal of insights come up while working with it. There is quite a bit of nudity in these cards though, so if people in the buff on tarot cards isn't your thing, or you're careful not to read for others using a deck with nudity, that's a little bit of information you should know. I've also done a review of these cards, so as with the others, check out the description for the link to the video. Oh, and also, there's barely any information about each card in the little white book that comes with this deck, so either some knowledge of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith system, which this follows enough, or leaving lots of room for your intuition to work with the images will help you if you do decide to use these cards. So here's a glimpse at some of the artwork, which I really like. I've said it before in my other videos, but in case this is my very first video that you're watching, I tend to favor more of a linear style. I'm not really a fan of very blurry or watercolory type effects. I like them looking either realistic or, like I said, more on the linear side, like this. Last but not least is a deck that I just did a review on. It's Chrysalis Tarot by Tony Brooks and Holly Sierra. I just got these cards, but I immediately jumped into the process of working with and building a relationship with them because they looked like they'd provide a lot of in-depth insights. Plus, the artwork is very pretty and the colors are gorgeous. If you're curious about these cards, make sure to not only look at the review I uploaded, but stay tuned for an entire series of videos coming very soon where I use this deck to give readings. so you can see the cards in action. You know, I think that the colors on these cards being so clear and bright helps infuse them with that very same energy. When they give answers in readings, if you already have a working knowledge of the Rider-Waite-Smith system, you should be able to transition into doing readings with Chrysalis Tarot because it is based on the traditional background, but it does branch off into its own direction at the same time. Which, again, I have to say I love because I prefer my tarot decks, if this video is any indication, to have something special about them, rather than their meanings being very by the book. Unless a deck that appears to be a Rider-Waite-Smith clone on the surface calls out to me, I'm likely not going to purchase it. So I will confess I have a few of those. They're pretty much Rider-Waite-Smith decks, but with a different theme. And Chrysalis Tarot is anything but a Rider-Waite-Smith deck in a different set of clothing, so to speak, as so many others on the market are. And here's a look at just some of these cards, which, like I said, I am going to be using very soon in a series of upcoming videos. If you want to see more, go ahead and check out my in-depth review. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing. I might also do an oracle card version of this sometime, and like I said, I will very likely be putting up an updated version of this video because my choices of cards to use do change, and rather frequently depending on what's going on. I'll see you again very soon. If you're coming across this in June 2014 or just before June 2014, I just uploaded a series of videos that are divided by astrological signs, so make sure to take a look at those too if you feel compelled to. Take care of yourself. I hope you're doing well. Bye for now. Namaste.